Kathy, would you please take the roll?
Robert Irwin,
Present.
Valerie Leary,
Present.
Steve Zorer.
Present.
Also present is a new solicitor, and I'm sorry, your name again?
That's fine. Josiah Walkett.
Josiah. Thank you. City of Newcastle Board of Adjustment has convened tonight for the following application. An application has been filed by Carolyn Travers, owner and applicant, for a property located in the R-2 zoning district at 11 West 6th Street, Newcastle, Delaware, 19720, tax parcel number 21-015.10-084, to request an approval of structural alterations resulting in an enlargement or extension of a non-conforming structure or use pursuant to section 230-7, 230-9, and 230-17 of the City of Newcastle zoning code. Mr. Bergstrom, was this properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Who would like to go first? Do I need to? Okay, sir. And your name, please?
Hi, Will Hurd.
Will Hurd. Thank you. If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you agree that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay. Hi. Good evening. My name is Will Hurd. I'm the architect for the project, for the addition. With me today is Carolyn Travers, the owner. My first question, though, before I get too far into this, is I don't know how your Board of Adjustment works versus other ones that I've worked with, and whether we're only going to be talking about the variance that we need to do the addition, or if we need to also address the various non-conforming aspects of the lot to make the lot legal. First day, huh?
I would stick with what is in your application and what is in the notice. I don't think you need to, I would say stick with the variance requests that are in your note, that are in the application and in the notice.
Okay. That's fine. And I only asked because I did write a letter that just outlined all the various non-conforming elements of the project. In a nutshell, the lot is too small, too short, and too narrow for anything to be built on it currently by the zoning code. So, but we could acknowledge that and just move on. Do you have this drawing I submitted? Okay, thanks. So just to briefly summarize, the house consists of three portions. There's a two-story wood frame structure at the front, which is the historic one, 1800s. There's a rear addition and then two rear additions. The last rear addition sits 7.6 feet from the side yard setback on the side yard property line. We're proposing to build an addition on what would be the left-hand side or the eastern side of the house. By the zoning code, we could go to, we would have a 7.4 foot setback on that side to total 15 feet. What we proposed to HAC and what they agreed to was a 5 foot setback, which is the minimum for this zoning, which gives us an additional 2.4 feet, but does not encroach into the minimum side yard. I mean, and related just to the whole lot is that we're also, I mean, we are currently, as the building sits, greater than the maximum lot coverage allowed by the zoning code. I don't know if that will become an issue at the building permit and needs to be addressed.
I'm just reading HAC notes here. Do you have any questions?
I don't really ask questions. It's up to you as
Well,
the,
Max
as the board.
often does.
And that's fine. That's fine. Do you have anything else to add? I will ask questions.
I don't believe so, unless, I mean, I'm here, you're prepared to answer questions.
Okay. The variance that you're seeking, as an architect, you're familiar with different kinds of variances,
Yes.
correct? And this, you would characterize this as an area variance,
Yes,
correct? As opposed to a use variance.
Correct.
Okay. So are you familiar with the quick check case and the quick check factors?
sounds familiar, but I'm not.
Okay, I'll walk you through it.
Sure.
I'll just ask the question.
Sure,
What's the nature of the zone in which the property resides?
residential,
And what's the character of the immediate vicinity and uses in that zone?
residential also.
Okay. If this variance is granted and the restriction is removed, although there really isn't a restriction removed, would that seriously affect neighboring properties and uses?
We don't believe so.
And why not?
Because it is consistent with the neighboring neighborhood. And we are not encroaching on the property line greater than the minimum setback allowed by the zoning.
And are you familiar with the term exceptional practical difficulty?
Yes,
What, if the variance is not granted, what would the exceptional practical difficulty for Ms. Travers be, to make normal improvements to the property?
she wouldn't be able to, because the purpose of the addition is to give us a bedroom on the first floor to allow aging in place. Without that additional 2.4 feet, we don't really have a bedroom. We have a narrow slot that maybe could fit a twin, so it's a very unpractical space within that restriction.
And is this the most minimal variance from the zoning code
Yes,
that you could ask for?
yes.
Does that prompt any other questions?
I just had one question, Mr. Hurd. In your letter, you state that we are asking for relief from the front and rear yard setbacks for both the existing house and the proposed addition. What was the intent of asking for a front yard?
Well, because the current front yard setback, is right? Is 20 feet. And we're into the middle of the building at 20 feet. So if we read the code precisely, the front yard setback would also be, we're intruding on that.
But you're not doing anything more in the front yard setback. The addition doesn't impact the front yard setback.
Well, so the problem is that the lot is only 45 feet deep.
Right.
So the 20 and the 25-foot setbacks from the front and rear leave no building area.
I understand. I'm just wondering, you're asking for.
We're not
front
going
yard-
past the front of the house at all.
I understand.
No.
But you're asking for something that is not getting impacted. The front yard setback is not being infringed upon. So I don't know if you.
Oh, I see what you mean. Correct. I'm sorry. I must have misstated that.
So you don't really need a front yard setback
No,
variance?
No.
Okay. That was all.
Mr. Bergstrom?
Thank you.
While we're here, I might answer this. The lot is regulated by the Historic Area Commission rules and regulations. Because in 2016 or whenever we changed the district regulations, this property is now regulated by them. And they would establish the building bulk and the side yard setback that are really.
Could you speak up a little louder, please?
Okay, they would establish the front yard and rear yard they would establish the side yard setback and the rear yard setback and the area variance. So from building department's point of view, this is an interesting exercise to see.
How so?
Because I believe that they'd established, they'd already approved the relief they were granted for by the board, but from the board. However,
From
there's
the
always.
Historic Area Commission.
The Historic Area Commission did. Of course, the property owner might need a mortgage or they might need something on the record to confirm that, but it's probably not injudicious to be here.
Right, I think that the reason why we're here is because Mark rightfully cited to section 2230-7 regarding non-conforming lots of records, and it says any variance of yard requirements shall be obtained only through action of the Board of Adjustment. That's why we're here. I understand what the Historic Area Commission, I would say recommended. But yeah, so that's why we're here tonight, Mr. Bergstrom. But I hear what you're saying about what findings the Historic Area Commission made.
Mr. Irwin, do you have any questions? From Mr.
Has,
Hurd?
has any comments from the neighbors been solicited? Where do they stand with this project?
I will turn to my client to answer that question.
I have several neighbors here, I don't have any objection.
Does she have to be sworn to testify?
She should be, yes.
Ms. Travers, would you step to the podium, please? Almost like you can't see. Okay, maybe stand to the side of the podium.
I have a loud voice.
That's okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you agree that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? The question was, have you spoken with neighbors and what is your feedback?
It's all positive. I didn't even know a notice had gone out until people started approaching me, and they seemed very positive. I have 4 neighbors here that don't seem to have a problem. I don't think the church does because, you know, I haven't heard anything from the church. My backyard sort of faces the graveyard. I don't have any objections there. But it just seems positive because I'm not gonna be blocking anybody's view. And most of the time, you're not even gonna see it from the street because there's a huge tree. I realize that sometime in the future, that tree might not be there, and so you might see the addition, but the addition is all gonna be in compliance with whatever Hack said that I need to do. So,
They were very detailed in the notes here. Mr. Zor?
So just to clarify, right, the 5-foot setback on the side yard is what the code requires. Correct. Right, the minimum, right? And then she's just asking for relief from the front setback and the rear setback, which the current structure already.
Not
infringes
so
on.
what the code requires is 5-foot minimum and a 15-foot total, counting both side yards.
Oh, okay.
So we're 7.6 on one side, which means by that we're allowed 7.4 on the other. We want to go past that to 5 feet.
Okay. I get it. Yep. Okay, I get it now.
it would make a big difference in the size.
Sure. I get it. Yep. But now I know what's going on.
Yep.
Thanks, we want to catch up.
Do you have any other questions?
That's it.
I don't have any questions.
So Mark, I had just to put a finer point on the exceptional practical difficulty point. Would you characterize the practical difficulty? I think you said you would describe the requested change as minimal. To be clear, does that apply to the rear yard setback?
So for the rear yard setback, what we're doing is we're aligning with the back of the existing building. So we're maintaining that existing condition.
Okay. And then you've already said that you're not really looking for a variance from the front yard setback.
Right.
And I think you said before that the relief you're asking for the side yard is minimal.
Yes.
Okay. What would the harm to Ms. Travers be if the variance is not approved, if the variance request is not approved?
I feel like we wouldn't be able to build an addition that suits her needs. And she might have to move out. And so that, I mean, the point of the addition is to create a bedroom so that she can maintain and continue to live in the house.
And would that result be because of the size of the lot?
Yes.
And would you say that the difficulty she has, would you characterize it as exceptional or would you characterize it as routine?
In this area, it's routine, because I think that many of the lots in the area are non-conforming to the current zoning code.
But this is a,
What do you mean in terms of?
I mean, in terms of what she can build, whether or not she can actually build on her lot.
I'm not understanding the question.
Is the difficulty that she faces, is it that she can't build anything? Or let me ask it this way. The addition that Ms. Travers wants to build, that's the minimum that she can build on this lot, correct?
Yeah.
And it's still, it would still, without these variances, violate the code, correct?
For the rear yard, yes.
Okay. For the ones that you're asking for?
Yes.
For the rear yard and the side yard?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also you're asking for a variance from the maximum building coverage, correct?
If we need that to comply with the building permit process.
Bertram, do you have any questions about that?
No,
Okay.
I might after they both.
If the variance is granted, what effect would it have on the neighboring properties?
I believe that.
And with that answer, the effect on Ms. Travers, if the variance is denied, would be greater than the effect on the neighboring properties if the variance is granted.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, a lot of those houses, obviously, we all know were built long before the code existed. So it's, looking here at minimum lot width is 50 feet and it's currently 41.5. So the code didn't exist then. Do you have anything else, Mr. Hurd?
That's everything I have.
And let me ask you this, I think my question was bad when I asked you if this was an exceptional difficulty or just a routine difficulty. It would be, if the variance is not granted, again, she wouldn't be able to build anything.
Nothing effective, nothing useful.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And you're asking for, relief from the maximum building coverage. Can you just explain that?
Sure, so the current zoning allows 30% of the lot to be covered by the building. Right now, the existing building covers 32%. So we are currently non-conforming to the maximum coverage. With the addition, we're at 42% of the lot. So we need a 12% relief to bring us back to conformance.
Well, so is it making a non-conforming building even more non-conforming?
Yes.
Any questions on that particular variance request?
I do not have any.
So as I hear it, there's 3 different variance requests. Rear yard, side yard, and maximum building coverage.
Correct.
Which is already non-conforming.
Correct. And the rear yard is also currently non-conforming.
Is the side yard currently non-conforming?
No, the side yard is conforming.
Okay.
That's the only one that conforms.
Yes. All right, we'll go ahead to public comment. Please state your name, sign in, if there's a sign-in sheet there, please.
First of all, I've got to say, I put in writing, I've said at meetings that the public should have an opportunity to review any documents, plans, drawings prior to the meeting, and that they be posted along with the agenda. So my first comment is, this project tonight should not be approved tonight, should not be up for consideration, and should be put off until the public is able to review the documents that this commission and board has had the luxury to look at. That is something that needs to be done. Has not been done, has been requested in writing and by myself. So you guys can choose to go ahead, but I'm just saying it should not be. And legally, I would advise this to be tabled tonight. My main concerns are if the side is not a problem right now, as far as encroaching on the other property, the project still could go ahead and be built to the size that they would need. Might be off center, but they're asking for a variance for something that is in okay dimensions as far as the code. So I think one, the side should not be granted for the variance. And I think the front, you've said, Josiah, that that's a non-entity, doesn't, I think that should be taken off as well, just for paperwork purposes. So, again, I feel tonight's thing should be tabled and that the side and front not be considered and not changed. Thank you.
I didn't get his name or.
I'm not obligated to give it.
His name is Phil Gross. He does live here in the city.
Okay.
And so I did ask you to state your name.
Look at the city code. I'm not
You're
obligated.
done. You're done, Mr. Gross.
Write this down.
You're done, Mr. Gross.
All right.
Other public
You're going to
comments,
court.
please. State your name, please.
Larry Coma.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Larry Coma. I live at 23 West Sixth Street, so it's 2 houses down. And would like to speak in favor of supporting it because Carolyn is someone that has really been active in the community, has worked on making sure that the community in investing in her house to keep the properties well and well organized. If you haven't seen her house, I encourage you to drive by. It's the smallest house I think I've ever seen, not just in size, but also in shortness. And I think it'd be a real benefit for someone like Carolyn to be able to age in place and to continue living in historic Newcastle. The setbacks in the properties, I think, have been properly discussed. And you know, when you're in these lots, which all of you guys know are mostly row homes, you know, there are no setbacks and no other things. So and these are challenges that all of us as owners have to deal with anytime that we want to improve our property and go through it. So I strongly speak in favor of supporting this project.
Thank you. Are there other public comments? Do we have any, the hearing is closed then, or was it?
I wouldn't close the hearing. I would deliberate.
Okay. and-
I think the proper way to do it would be to have a motion and then discussion.
Okay. Do I have a motion on this application?
I make a motion to approve the application as is.
Second.
Okay, now you can discuss.
Okay. Anything, Mr. Irwin?
And I'll say that this is probably the most important part of your deliberation, where you need to clearly and articulately, the best you can, identify the what are called the quick check factors that I went through and make a proper record with particularized findings when you discuss your thoughts.
Okay, so we look at the 4-point test, right? The first test is the nature of the zone which the property leans. And basically, it's unique conditions of land or property that demonstrate the zone is not reasonable when applied to it. Well, for this, the lot's very small, doesn't meet the front setback and the rear setback requirements as they are written. And because of the size of the lot, I believe it is unreasonable to have her require her to meet the code to perform this addition. So for me, those are unique conditions of the property. The second one is the character of the immediate vicinity and the use contained therein. So does the intended use of the property fit with the other uses of that surround it? So it's a residential area and most of the houses do not meet the current setback requirements. So I think it fits with the area. It's not going to be an issue with any of the neighbors. I think it's well suited. So the third, whether if the restriction of the applicant's property will remove, such removal would seriously affect neighboring properties and uses. How will the variance affect neighbors? Have the neighbors been asked? Well, we have neighbors here. The neighbors all agree it's okay. And they're all willing to support the change. So I don't see an issue there. And then the next one is basically the practical difficulty. And the practical difficulty really is the size of the lot, right? The lot size does not meet what you would be able to put in there for the current code. So from that position, the practical difficulty to make something that's livable and suitable for the applicant would not necessarily be able to occur if she had to meet the side yard setback as written in the code. So I believe that's the practical difficulty, is just she does not have enough room for the setbacks on the side yards to make a decent sized addition. And it basically doesn't meet the rear setback already. So from those four standpoints, I believe it's a good project to approve. And then I make a motion to approve it as is.
So I vote for approval too. I would adopt the reasons that Mr. Zor has already indicated. I would also note that on the third quick check back, we have neighbors here who are have shown up to either testify or in support of the project, and I recognize that. So I vote in the affirmative for grant variances.
I will vote in the affirmative as well. These homes were not built at a time when code existed, and it's impossible for them to meet said code that now currently exists. Again, the neighbors are here. We see them nodding, that they are in favor of it, and they do not feel any slight or impingement or anything by this possible addition. And the exceptional practical difficulty, I see exceptional, because without this zoning change approval, she can't build anything more than a walk-in closet. Okay, so, and she needs to, as many of our people here do, we would like to try to age in place. And this will allow her to age in place and make it a more livable house, and also in the long run add value to the house and to the surrounding area. So I vote in the affirmative as well.
So I think because, and this is just procedurally, I think because there were three separate variance requests made, distinct variance requests made, we should have a vote on all three. And then you can incorporate your, I think all of your analysis applied to each of those three. So I think what you can do is have a motion to approve the variance request for the rear yard setback, a separate motion for relief from the side yard setback, and the third motion for relief from the maximum building coverage.
Sorry, maximum what?
Maximum building coverage.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for the relief from the maximum building coverage requirement based on the comments that I made earlier on the 4-point test.
Second.
I vote in the affirmative on that.
Okay, so that was
For the same
percentage
reasons,
coverage.
all the
Right.
same reasons. That was for the maximum building coverage. I make a motion for approving a side yard setback based upon the reasons that I just gave.
I'll second it.
all in favor.
I agree. I agree.
And I'll make a motion for the rear yard setback approval for the reasons stated previously.
I second the motion.
And I approve.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Okay.
Meeting, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Second.
all in
All right.
favor? Thank you.
This will be posted tomorrow.
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's a citizen. I know that it's a power.